Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
I'm Jerry.
And I'm Linda, and Gizmo's back there.
Gizmo's riding shotgun back here. We're the village's newcomers, and we're on the road. It's time for...
Send us your questions, we've got your answers. Jerry and Linda's Mailbag Monday.
We're traveling from the villages, Florida, all the way up to Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to see our son, our youngest son, and his home. First time we've ever been there.
Yep, I'm excited.
He's a first lieutenant in the Air Force. He flies a great big plane that we're hoping to get a chance to see. It's called a C-17, and we're very proud of him. Since we're traveling, we wanted to make sure that you get your weekly dose of Mailbag Monday. This was pretty much the only way to do it. You see, we're not decked out in our usual Newcomers t-shirts. By the way, it's hard to believe some people find those revolting.
Wow.
That two grown senior citizen adults would wear matching t-shirts.
Yes.
I like them.
I don't think they're cute.
I'm proud to wear a shirt, same shirt as with her.
V-neck with lace.
Let's not get crazy. But don't worry, I'm going to be driving carefully. I'm not really looking at the camera, so you're not going to get a lot of eye contact. But we hope you enjoy it. And with that, we're going to get right into some shout-outs.
Our first shout out is to Ed Kane. He's the fire chief of the villages, and he came to our house and gave us a wonderful interview, and we got to go to the firehouse also, so we had a great time. His help and his service is much appreciated.
Wouldn't have killed him to let me drive that truck.
And I sure wanted to go down that pole, but they didn't have one.
Did you see that yellow light back there?
Yeah, I did. Oopsie.
I saw it.
It was orange.
It was orange, yeah. We also want to shout out to Wally and Kate Sagita. We bumped into them. Wally's the guy that does our theme songs. He does a great job. Every time you hear that, give us your questions. That's Wally.
And we got to meet the family this time.
They brought 3 teenage sons.
Yeah.
Boy, that brought back some bad memories.
Yep.
Just kidding you. We really enjoyed seeing them. And we bump into people all the time, don't we?
We do. We enjoy meeting people. It's a lot of fun.
Let's get right to our first question. I'm going to say maybe 5 or 6 months ago, we met one of our viewers and went out to lunch with him. His name's Ray. And Ray sent us a really timely letter that kind of outlined his process of buying. And last week we told you how difficult it is to purchase a home here because supply and demand. The demand is greatly overweighing the supply, and he had an experience and he wanted us to hear it. So Linda's going to read it to you.
Back in November, when I met the two of you for dinner at Bluefin, when I was in the villages for my lifestyle visit, the base price of a gardenia was $290,000 plus the lot and upgrades. By the time I did my design and signed my contract in March, it was up to $319 for the base home, and my final price was $422.
So it's right there. His basic price was $290. By the time they got around to buttoning everything up, it was $319. It had gone up to $29,000. And by the time he finished, how much did he spend?
$422.
$422. And I guarantee you it's gone up since then. Go ahead. I think he tells us.
And he said just yesterday there was a spec home identical to mine with an interior lot compared to his that the developer put up for sale for $520, and it sold in 4 hours. Oh my goodness!
That's what we're talking about.
Did my new home appreciate by $98,000 before I even closed?
That's why people asked that question last week. Can the average retiree afford a home in the villages? And, of course, that a lot of things that go into that. What is average? How much money do you have in the bank? How big a payment can you afford? It's all relative. But, wow, Ray, that was a nice eye-opener on the prices. Thank you for sending that.
And this is from John and Ann. Just reviewed our video where we drove through an upscale neighborhood and noticed many homes with paver driveways. My question is, do people epoxy their driveways to prevent oil leaks from cars from ruining the driveway with oil stains, or is there something else they do?
John, that's a good question. People do use pavers on their driveways quite often here. And other people paint their driveways. We have a painted driveway. It's concrete with a painted design.
Or you don't have to do anything.
Or a lot of people have just basic concrete driveways. We have the concrete driveway with paint and then a sealer, not epoxy. We do have an epoxy garage floor, but the epoxy would make your driveway pretty slick, I think, don't you?
I think it would.
So people seal their driveways. In fact, let me take you over and show you one. John, that's a good point about sealing your driveway. One good thing about the villages, these streets like the one behind us here, the construction workers know not to pull into your driveway. Now your own guests will, but construction workers, the lawn maintenance people, the insect people, the plumbers, the electricians, they know pretty much to stay out on the street. And you can see some oil spots on this street. I don't know if you can see those or not, where they park. You certainly wouldn't want that in your driveway. Us, for example, we have treated our driveway with a sealer. Most people that have painted driveways do. I'm not sure about the pavers. They probably have some sort of treatment that at least repels water. But yeah, you don't want people parking their vehicles in your driveway unless you've got a good sealer on there. And even then, only later model vehicles that aren't going to drop that oil. So you see, pavers are an option. Folks that have pavers probably do put some sort of sealant on there. I know when we had a concrete driveway back home, we used like, what's Thompson's water seal on it?
Yes.
But they don't use that particular product on most of the driveways here, but I'll bet they've sealed those pavers with something.
This question is from Mike and Lynn. We're considering a relocation to the villages, but we're a little apprehensive about sinkholes. How much of a concern is this issue?
Everybody's concerned about sinkholes.
Sure.
If you follow our channel, you probably saw the video, and if you haven't, you can look back and see it, where I discuss back in Indiana, I'm going to say 20 years ago. I drove a tractor. I was mowing on a farm, and I got that tractor too close to a sinkhole, and the entire tractor with a bush hog on the back flipped over, and I fell down into that sinkhole. And it was a sinkhole very much like these. The pictures you're looking at now are actual pictures of the sinkholes that opened up in the villages about a week ago. They were not near anyone's home. They were not near any structures. They were in a pond near Escambia Golf Course, which is in the Pine Ridge neighborhood. But the one I turned over the tractor in was a big one, just like those.
It was huge.
And it was a very close call, because not only was I almost crushed by the tractor, I was almost cut up by the bush hog.
Yeah, that was very scary.
But I was lucky and I had just minor injuries. But yes, sinkholes are a concern whether you're in Indiana, in the rocky areas of Indiana. It's limestone, a lot of limestone in Indiana, or the limestone in Florida. I'm not a scientist and I can't give you the exact reasons why they happen, but they draw a lot of attention. These three that you saw the pictures of there have drawn a huge amount of attention. We've been here almost 3 years, and we went looking for sinkholes. And we found the two famous sinkholes from about 3 years ago, no, maybe 4 years ago, that caused so much hubbub in the villages. In fact, we went up there to do a show, and we decided not to do it because I didn't want to lower the home values of those homeowners that still own those homes, and we're going to have to sell them someday, when they may be able to fix them 100% perfectly, but still the reputation that there once was a sinkhole.
Right.
We just didn't do it. Sinkholes are dangerous. They can spoil your entire investment, but we don't see them that often. You know, it's bad news travels fast. One sinkhole got so much publicity, but we have our fingers crossed. We love where we live. You know, we have insurance for sinkholes. We're willing to take the risk.
This question is from Pete. Do any homes in the villages have gravel driveways, and can you park on the grass if you have a big party? Whoa. Well, I'll say no and no. First off, no one has gravel driveways. I don't think you could do that. And no one would park in their yard. You have the irrigation system there that you can ruin. It's just, I've never seen anybody park anything in the yard.
Pete, gravel driveway. And back in Indiana, you could have gravel driveways.
Yes.
In the country, you can have whatever you want. We're not in the country. We're here, and people have huge investments in these homes. You even have to have your driveway edged. You need a sharp edge between your grass and your driveway, and that doesn't happen if you have gravel. You know, this place, like we said, a huge investment. People want it to look nice. People want it to appreciate in value. You have a gravel driveway, you have ruts, you have rocks in the grass. Come on, Pete.
This is from Dexter. If I bought a designer home in the villages, but I'm not old enough to live there, can I rent it out until I am old enough? If I do, how much rent could I get?
That's a good question, Dexter, and it happens every day. In fact, we know people that do it. They buy a home when they're 50, 51, 52, 53, and they're longing for retirement, so they rent it out until they can get down here to live full time. As far as how much money can you get, that depends on a lot of things. If you had a villa, you may not get as much money for a rental that you would get from a designer home. And if you have a designer home, you may not get as much as you'd have with a premier home. And if you have a home without a pool, you're not going to get as much money as you'd get if you had a home with a pool. Right. So how much can you get? We have known people that rented for $3,000 a month in the winter, although that's becoming super rare. And we've known people that paid $6,000 a month for a home in the winter.
This is from John and Jane. We know golf cars have headlights, but we're wondering if the multimodal paths have lights for night driving. Do a lot of residents drive their golf carts at night?
John and Jane, if you were here, you would see. The multimodal paths run along your major arteries like Hillsborough Trail, Pinellas. They are well lit. Those roads all have streetlights along the way. All the neighborhoods have streetlights. I don't know how far apart they are, maybe 500 feet. So you could see well enough, but even if there's no lights, these carts are deluxe, buddy. You've got excellent headlights on the newer carts anyway, and they cast plenty of light to drive safely. You could safely dodge those alligators that are walking across the paths at night.
This is from Eric. Can you walk to the closest pool cutting through home yards? Makes no sense to walk 400 yards instead of 150.
What?
Eric.
Think about this, Eric. Eric, have you ever been deer hunting? Have you ever seen those trails that wild animals walk through the woods? They wear all the grass away. You can see the deer trail or a path that leads somewhere. That's what you'd have through somebody's yard. Do you really think they want that? Now, that being said, though, if you have a really good friend and you said, Sam, once in a while, could I tiptoe through your yard to get to the pool? He'd say, sure, go ahead. But as far as can everybody cut through Sam's yard to get to the pool, Sam would have to be one heck of a nice guy to let you do that.
This is from Charles. I find it odd that homes are not fitted with gutters when built. What percentage of homes do the owners not get gutters installed?
41%. Oh, I made that up. How in the world, how would we know? What percent?
No.
Driving around, though, you can see that a lot of people don't have gutters. Now, back where we come from in Indiana, everybody has gutters. You know why? Because everybody has basements. And if that water comes off your house, hits the ground, and rolls down between, right up against the foundation, down toward your basement, you could have a wet basement. A wet basement is not what you want. So, Linda's giving me directions here. I'm going to get over here and take this exit. These gutters are designed to keep the water away from your house. And in Florida, with no basement, the yards are sculpted to roll the water away from your home anyway. So a lot of people think they don't need gutters. But if you don't have one, the rain that hits your roof is probably going to flow right down in front of your garage door and splash inside your garage, or maybe the front door of your home. So some people that opt for partial gutters will get them over their garage door and their front door. We have gutters all around our house. We like it that way. All the rainwater, which it's Florida. There's a lot of rainwater. And it flows away from our home.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Linda's going to have to navigate here for me just a little bit. I got talking. Looks to me like we're getting right back on the same road we were just on. Do y'all ever get lost when you're traveling? That is not due to the driver. It's usually due to the navigator.
Well, not just go 43 miles.
That's because we took a Louis when we should have turned right. That's my fault. I take full responsibility.
This should be up here. Okay.
But what the heck? Hey, we're doing Mailbag Monday. We don't care.
And we're together. That's all that counts, right, honey? More time with you in the car. Here's a question from Lynn. We hear that the roundabouts in the villages causes a lot of accidents. How much truth to this if you know?
Zero truth to that. It's the people. They don't follow the rules. One person can be following the rules 100%. If the person next to you isn't, you can have a scrape or a fender bender. Now, Linda, you did some research on roundabouts, and you read me the entire article the other day. She reads the paper to me, whether I want her to or not. And she told me about this article on roundabouts, which it seems apparent that you forgot. Do you remember?
Do you remember what I said?
I do. The study said that there will be more accidents with roundabouts, but those accidents are going to be far less severe than the accidents that come from stoplights. So you're going to get some scrapes and fender benders, but you'll have less injury accidents in roundabouts. You remember now?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Anything else?
Actually, I think you're more cautious in the roundabouts. You're yielding and you're going really slow and you're trying to make sure no one's around you. Yeah, you won't get really T-boned.
We like the roundabouts. We'd never really... I remember back in Indiana, do you remember when they put on Highway 465, they put that roundabout in that was going toward the Riverport?
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is that thing? That's crazy. Actually, they keep traffic flowing. You're not setting 20 cars deep at a stoplight or a stop sign. And we like them. But yeah, if you get a lunatic next to you, you've got to watch out. The best rule of thumb for a roundabout that I've learned, again, no expert, don't be next to another car in a roundabout.
That's right. Be
by yourself and you be all right. And now it's time for our last question.
Brian and Agnes, they live in Northern Ireland, and they find it difficult living in Florida, they think, because not having so much barriers between themselves and neighbors. It sounds antisocial, but they want to know how the borders is it an issue in the villages?
Borders.
It sounds like we're in countries.
Well, they say fences make good neighbors.
Yes.
But you don't find many fences in the villages unless it's a courtyard villa or something like that, maybe a veranda home. So you're not going to have apparent physical borders between you and the neighbors. So it's best to be
Friendly.
tolerant and friendly. Is it a big adjustment? I can tell you're going to have a big adjustment from that letter. You're going to take some adjusting, like I did. Oh, hey, look, here's one of those deals where we're not really in the rain, but we're running into the rain.
Yes.
But yeah, you need, I wonder what our GoPro's getting. Probably getting a lot of raindrops. You're going to take some adjusting when you move to the villages. If you, like us, are used to looking out your front window and not seeing any homes, or looking out your back and not seeing any homes, it's going to be a rare thing to have that in the villages. You have to pay a lot of money for that. So you have to learn to get along with your neighbors. It takes teamwork to live together down here in the villages.
I think that's the key word, is teamwork here. You're always thinking about the other person. You should be thinking about what's the best thing to do.
Gizmo, you've been waiting patiently. Are you ready? Let's see what Gizmo has to say this week.
Whoa. I'm glad they let me tape this before we started off on this trip. I get a little bit car sick sometimes. Here's one from Glenn. Glenn says, why do you have only 2 pictures in the beginning and the ending scene on Mailbox Mondays? There's at least 40 pictures, but only 2 of you. You should be in at least a third of them, Gizmo. You know what, Glenn? You are my kind of guy. I agree with you 100%. So, I nagged Mom and Dad a little bit, and hopefully you like this week's Mailbag Monday picture a little bit better. I heard Mom and Dad talking about Florida and how the water table is so high that they usually don't bury people down here. Most of them get cremated. And I told them, that's what I want when I go. I want to be cremated. I figure it's my last chance to have a smoking hot body. Ha! Smoking hot body! Did it?
Gizmo, that's a great job.
Good boy.
Well done, well done. You guys will want to tune in on Thursday as we have another interview. We're going to talk to someone about the quality of water in the villages. And with this building, are we going to run out of water? You know, is it safe to drink? You'll learn all kinds of things about water on Thursday, so you'll want to tune in for that show.
Mailbag Monday.
We want to thank you all for sharing our adventures in Florida. We have a ball bringing it to you.
And if you like it, please press that like and subscribe. Until next time.
See you when you get here.